God has called each of us to worship him. In fact, we were created to worship God. But there's some important things that we need to know about worshiping the God that we serve. Number one, when you come to worship, when you come to the house of worship, many of us are reopening our houses of worship again after a 14-month hiatus from public worship due to the pandemic. Many of us are coming back to church. Many of us will be coming back together in the fall and worshiping again. I want to offer you 3 suggestions when you come back to church. Number one, don't be concerned about what others say. Do what God told you to do. Each individual who comes into the house of God should come to worship God in spirit and in truth, for that's what God seeks from us. God desires that we worship God in spirit and in truth. So that means if God tells you to stand and raise your hands in praise, if God tells you to dance, if God tells you to clap, if God tells you to sing, or if God tells you to sit quietly and let a salty tear run down your face, do what God tells you to do. Second thing I want to suggest to you is this. Some people will hate when you celebrate God and what God is doing in your life. But celebrate God anyway. Don't worry about what the haters say. People hate because they are jealous of what you have. Some folk are jealous of your walk with God. Some folk are jealous of your freedom, your ability to praise God with abandon, not worrying about what others think. So they're going to hate. They'll hate on you. They'll hate on your way of worshiping God. You worship God anyhow. Give God the praise anyhow. Celebrate God anyhow. Then the last thing I want to suggest to you about how we should worship when we come back to church again. When we come to church again, don't go home empty-handed. Don't go home empty-handed. You came to church for something. You came to church to worship God, but you came to church looking for something. Insight, a blessing, a healing, deliverance, hope, joy, salvation, peace. Whatever it is you came looking for, don't go home empty-handed. Go home with your blessing. Go home with what God has for you. God has extraordinary, phenomenal, abundant blessings for you as you worship God. Don't go home empty-handed. Number one, don't be concerned by what others say. Number two, even when they hate, celebrate God anyhow. And number three, when you come to church, don't go home empty-handed. Go home with your blessing. Be blessed in this day.